Recently,
The prequel film Wonka to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was released. Rumors are circulating without evidence that chocolate sales have increased due to Timothée Chalamet's sweet performance in the movie Wonka. In that case, naturally, we become curious about the origins and history of chocolate. Where did chocolate originate from? From Oompa Loompa? Today, I'll talk about the history of chocolate, known by scientists and historians. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Oh, and leave a comment too, and let us know what piece of history you would like us to explain next. Okay, now let's settle this once and for all. First, let's start with the origin of chocolate. Where did chocolate originate from? Surprisingly, many of the ingredients we currently enjoy have their origins in Central and South America. The origin of chili peppers and potatoes is in Central and South America. And the main ingredient of today's star, chocolate, the cacao tree, also originates from Central and South America. To be more specific, it is the birthplace of the Maya civilization and the Aztec civilization, and it is known that the residents who lived there from about 3,000 years ago enjoyed it. Chocolate is made from the fruit of cacao trees. The fruits are called pods, and each pod contains around 40 cacao beans. The beans are dried and roasted to create cocoa beans. It's unclear exactly when cacao came on the scene or who invented it. According to Hayes Lavies, cultural arts curator for the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian, ancient Olmec pots and vessels from around 1500 BC were discovered with traces of theobromine, the stimulant compound found in chocolate and tea. It's thought the Olmecs used cacao to create a ceremonial drink. However, since they kept no written history, opinions differ on if they used cacao beans in their concoctions or just the pulp of the cacao pod. The Olmecs undoubtedly passed their cacao knowledge on to the Central American Maya, who not only consumed chocolate, they revered it. The Mayan written history mentions chocolate drinks being used in celebrations and to finalize important transactions and ceremonies. The Mayans believed that chocolate was a gift to humans from the gods and, therefore, should be shared with all of the people. Anyone in the Mayan civilization could partake of the beverage, regardless of their social standing. The Mayans consumed xocolotl on a daily basis, much like how we drink our morning coffee. Mayan chocolate was thick and often combined with chili peppers, honey or water. Before serving it, they would rapidly pour it from one cup into another until a frothy foam formed on the top, like some of today's Starbucks drinks. The word chocolate comes from the classical Nahuatl word xocolotl, meaning bitter, water, and entered the English language via the Spanish chocolate. That's really strange. The chocolate we think of is very sweet. The Aztecs took chocolate admiration to another level. Like the Maya, they enjoyed the caffeinated kick of hot or cold, spiced chocolate beverages in ornate containers, but they also used cacao beans as currency to buy food and other goods. The Spanish conquistadors left records of the value of the cacao bean, noting for instance that 100 beans could purchase a canoe filled with fresh water or a turkey hen. In Aztec culture, cacao beans were considered more valuable than gold. Aztec chocolate, which they called xocolotl, was mostly an upper-class extravagance, although the lower classes enjoyed it occasionally at weddings or other celebrations. Perhaps the most notorious Aztec chocolate lover of all was the Aztec ruler Montezuma II, who allegedly drank gallons of xocolotl each day for energy and as an aphrodisiac. It's also said he reserved some of his cacao beans for his military. The number of cacao beans stored was about 900 million. Until the 16th century, the cacao tree was wholly unknown to Europeans. There are conflicting reports about when chocolate arrived in Europe, although it's agreed it first arrived in Spain. One story says Christopher Columbus discovered cacao beans after intercepting a trade ship on a journey to America and brought the beans back to Spain with him in 1502. Another tale states Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés was introduced to chocolate by the Aztecs of Montezuma's court. After returning to Spain, cacao beans in tow, he supposedly kept his chocolate knowledge a well-guarded secret. A third story claims that friars who presented Guatemalan Mayans to Philip II of Spain in 1544 also brought cacao beans along as a gift. No matter how chocolate got to Spain, by the late 1500s it was a much-loved indulgence by the Spanish court, and Spain began importing chocolate in 1585. Although the Spanish sweetened the bitter drink with cane sugar and cinnamon, one thing remained unchanged: chocolate reigned as a delectable symbol of luxury, wealth, and power, an expensive import sipped by royal lips, and affordable only to Spanish elites. As other European countries such as Italy and France visited parts of Central America, they also learned about cacao and brought chocolate back to their respective countries. Soon, chocolate mania spread throughout Europe. Fashionable chocolate houses for the wealthy cropped up throughout London, Amsterdam, and other European cities. With the high demand for chocolate came chocolate plantations, which were worked by thousands of enslaved people. When diseases brought by Europeans depleted the native Mesoamerican labor pool, enslaved Africans were imported to the Americas to work on the plantations and maintain chocolate production. Chocolate remained an aristocratic nectar until the 1828 invention of the cocoa press revolutionized its production. Attributed in varying accounts to either Dutch chemist Coenraad Johannes van Houten or his father, Casparus, the cocoa press squeezed the fatty butter from roasted cacao beans, leaving behind a dry cake that could be pulverized into a fine powder that could be mixed with liquids and other ingredients, poured into molds, and solidified into edible, easily digestible chocolate. The cocoa press ushered in the modern era of chocolate by enabling it to be used as a confectionery ingredient, and the resulting drop in production costs made chocolate much more affordable. After that, chocolate becomes a treat for the masses in 1847. British chocolate company J.S. Fry and Sons created the first edible chocolate bar from cocoa butter, cocoa powder, and sugar. Rival chocolatier Cadbury's, credited with pioneering the Valentine's Day chocolate box and chocolate Easter egg, followed suit soon after and in 1854 earned a royal warrant as purveyors of chocolate to Queen Victoria. It was in Switzerland that chocolate production took one of its greatest leaps forward. In the 1870s, Swiss chocolatier Daniel Peter utilized powdered milk developed several years earlier by his neighbor Henri Nestlé to produce the first milk chocolate bar, and the pair eventually formed the Nestlé Company. Swiss chocolatier Rodolphe Lindt's 1879 invention of the conching machine, which used large stone rollers to mix and aerate chocolate to give it a velvety texture and superior taste, allowed for mass production of smooth, creamy milk chocolate.
So nice.
In the United States, Milton Hershey pioneered the assembly line production of milk chocolate. After selling his caramel candy company for $1 million and producing his first milk chocolate bar in 1900, Hershey bought farmland near his birthplace in rural Pennsylvania and built an entire factory town devoted to chocolate. The grass-fed Holsteins on the surrounding dairy farms supplied the company's milk, and a company town in Cuba supplied its sugar. Chocolate bars soared in popularity during the Roaring '20s. By the end of the decade, more than 40,000 different candy bars were being made in the U.S. According to Susan Benjamin, candy historian and author of Sweet as Sin, The Unwrapped Story of How Candy Became America's Favorite Pleasure. Father and son duo Frank C. Mars and Forrest Mars Sr. collaborated on the idea for the Milky Way bar, which hit the market in 1923 with the chocolate for its coating supplied by Hershey's. The family-owned business would rival Hershey's, and Forrest Mars Sr. later partnered with the son of a Hershey's executive to begin production of M&M candies in 1941. H.B. Reese, who had worked as a dairy farmer and shipping foreman for Hershey's, launched his own candy company in 1923 and 5 years later introduced Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. They later came to be produced by Hershey's, and one of the top-selling candies in the United States. Most modern chocolate is highly refined and mass-produced, although some chocolatiers still make their chocolate creations by hand and keep the ingredients as pure as possible. Chocolate is available to drink, but is more often enjoyed as an edible confection or in desserts and baked goods. While your average chocolate bar isn't considered healthy, dark chocolate has earned its place as a heart-healthy, antioxidant-rich treat.